on the overview page that says what the teacher sees too, so you can see both sides in there. But at least upload something to that post, because otherwise it'll be hard to practice. And I will say, once you do this in class, I recommend spacing out the assignment from the peer review. I would recommend just doing the assignment and then maybe the week after doing the peer review, so that students have time to get stuff submitted. Because if a student doesn't turn something in before you push out peer reviews, you have to go manually push them out, and it just becomes a little bit overwhelming if that happens. So I wouldn't try to do peer reviews in the same exact day. But once students have done this a few times, it's a really fast process. I was able to do 3 back-to-back in the same week, if that helps. All right, let me refresh. All right, it looks like 2 of you have submitted. Deborah, if you're still getting in to the Canvas course, let me know. If you're in and you're wondering the next step, you need to open the link for the peer review overview. The first bullet point under agenda has the assignment, so to speak, that needs to be submitted. You can submit something blank if you would like, just to have something there to practice with everyone else. And then if you have submitted it, go back to the overview page and open the second bullet point that has the peer review instructions. I'm going to go ahead and start working through the instructions. I'm going to be in a different tab, so if there's questions in the chat, I apologize. I'm not trying to ignore you. I do that to my students all the time by accident. All right, so in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the instructions. The peer review instructions are very simple once you've done the whole process once, but there are several different things you have to look at and notice on the student side, and the teacher side also looks different. So we're going to look at both of those in a moment. So you would open the assignment. You don't have to now. This is after we go through all of the images first. At the bottom of this post, somebody have a question?
Yes. Brittany, I just want to make sure, are you narrating because you want to share your screen? Because if not, we can't see anything.
I can share my screen. It's in the Canvas course where everyone's supposed to be. But
Got it. Just want to make sure.
That's easier. Yeah, I can share my screen. It might not be very big, though. Hold on.
That's okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Mm-hmm. I don't. There's the present button. I will present it just in case.
Yes, because we'll do this as an on-demand recording. And so you want those viewers to be able to see that.
Yes. Good point. Okay. Share. There we go. Can you see my screen?
Yep, thanks.
Awesome, no problem. Okay, so this is the second bullet point in the overview after you have joined the Canvas course. So this is a little bit easier to do once you've submitted an assignment, but following these steps is still pretty straightforward. This image, or these images and this instructions page is what the students see. So this is what you should see when you go back to the assignment, okay? I have a link in the third bullet point for what teachers see. So we'll look at that at the end before we wrap up. So after going through all of these instructions, and this is the exact same instruction sheet I push out to my students, and I got all of these instructions from the Canvas website. One of their help pages had all of this. So I just saved all their stuff because why reinvent the wheel? So at the bottom of this post, I included the link to the assignment directly because I think that's just a lot easier for students to handle. But you don't have to open that link yet. That's once we go through all the instructions. So I'm going to keep scrolling. After you have opened the assigned peer review, notice that it is not a separate assignment. It is attached to the assignment because you're reviewing the submissions. So just keep that in mind. We'll come back to that at the end of this page in a minute. So once you've opened the assigned peer review as a student, this image here shows you what the submission looks like when assigned peer reviews have been pushed out when they are not anonymous. So you can see which students you're going to be scoring. This is helpful if it's something that you know is going to have a student name on it, or you're purposefully assigning certain groups together. I personally do not like doing named, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for right now, named peer reviews, because sometimes it can lead to biased feedback, like a friend's going to be nice, and if somebody doesn't like someone, they're high schoolers, they can be a little brutal. So I like to keep it anonymous. Also, a lot of our classes are cross-listed, so my sections get jumbled anyway when I do this. So it's just easier and less confusing for the students to make it this way. You can push out more than 2. I wouldn't recommend a whole lot more than that, because then it's going to take a lot longer for students to get through them. But depending on what you're doing, you may have time to get through more than 2. I would not just do 1. I always like having more than one set of eyes besides mine on a peer review. So underneath this box, it says that after opening the timed writing assignment, you will look for the submission details section. It may be on the right or the bottom of the page, depending on your device. Under assigned peer reviews, you will see any peer reviews assigned to you. The caution sign, which is icon number 1, indicates that the peer review has not been completed. So something is missing. If a student is swearing they've done it, then they haven't clicked submit or they haven't saved something right. It happens a lot. And then a check mark, which is icon number 2, indicates that the peer review is properly completed. And if your peer review is anonymous, you cannot see the name of the student. The image below shows you what that will look like. So it will just say anonymous user with the same symbols to the left. And then if you continue scrolling, I double checked on multiple devices and all my images worked, but let me know if the images for some reason are not showing up. In the view peer review section, so this is after you click on the student's name from the previous step, you should see something that looks like this. It does depend on what they turned in. It could be a PDF, it could be a Google Slide or a Google Doc. It could also just be an image file. If there are multiple files, I recommend having a naming convention for your students, because sometimes they upload out of order, and then the student who is scoring is very confused, and anonymous makes it a little harder. So at least number the pages or have a naming guide for the links when students upload. So there are 2 ways that you can access the assignment in a peer review. On the left, if it's just a text entry submission, it'll be there already. But if it's any other file upload or similar situation like we're using today, you should see 2 different links you can click on. The left one is a direct link that will download it to your device. I don't like doing that one, because if I open every single student, I'll have hundreds of files in my drive, because it goes straight to your drive if it's a Chromebook. On the right side, where icon number 2 says view feedback, that's where it will open in a preview window and you can actually see the work there. Feedback is kind of a confusing word, so a lot of students get tripped up by that. It's because in that box, they get the same tools that we get in SpeedGrader, like the few typing tools that we have in SpeedGrader. The students have access to that too, but they don't have to use them for the review to save. So I recommend to my students that they click on the view feedback button and then just zoom in on their screen if it's too small. And then next, there are 2 options for doing peer reviews. You can have a rubric attached. I've done that to ours today so that you can see what that looks like, because students, this is usually why there's an exclamation point that is not completed, because students didn't save this right. And there's also a comment section that looks just like our SpeedGrader comment section. And regardless of if you have a rubric or not, you do have to fill out something in that comment section for it to save. So you'll see in a second what that looks like. So here is a student's assignment with a rubric attached. On the left, you can see that they had a text entry submission, so it's already uploaded there for them. But if you look at the number 1 icon, it's a very small link and students miss it very easily. It says show rubric, and then it pops out the rubric down below. And there is a spot for students to put just the number of points that they've earned. This example has several different point values. They can choose based off of your descriptions how many points they want to give to each part of the rubric. This is why I like having multiple students do the same assignment. And then there is an optional comment box for each of those different scoring point decisions. I don't make my students fill those out because I think that they take a little bit more time. And usually students end up writing there what I need them to write in the general comment box. So I just tell my students just to do the number and then make sure that their every single box is filled in before they come to icon 4 and click Save Comment. Save Comment is why many students end up with an exclamation point, because they don't save it. They just fill it out and then leave the box. That's not going to save the feedback, and they're going to have to do it over and over. And they're going to swear they did it, but it didn't save. A lot of students think that the save comment just relates to the comment boxes, but that is not the case. I wish it would just say save rubric, but I don't get to make the decisions. So just make sure your students know they have to click show rubric and then save comment. The biggest thing about this part, though, is they cannot go back and edit the rubric after they save. So just be very clear up front that students should not click save comment until they are satisfied with their review. So they've done all 4 or however many boxes you have for points. Make sure every single one is filled out and that they have the number they meant to put there. Like if they're joking and they put zeros all the way down and click save as a joke, it's not going to be good because they can't fix it. So just keep that in mind. I haven't had any students have that problem, but you just have to be upfront about it. All right, let me check the chat and make sure nobody's lost. Okay, looks like we're good. You are going to go down to the next section for adding the comment. If you do not include a rubric, this is a pretty simple thing just to leave general comments. But even if you include a rubric, you do have to still fill out the comment box with something so that it counts as complete. So what I do for this is I just have students do a typed comment in the comment field. They can leave a media comment or attach a file, but I haven't really found a need for that yet. I wouldn't recommend that you do that unless you just want voice feedback. But my students like the written feedback better. That goes directly into their grades tab, as you'll see in a little bit if we get to that in time. So just I have my students type it, and there's no big deal. What I have them do when I include a rubric, I have them include at least one reinforcement, so that area of strength, and one refinement, so that area of growth. Yes, I use the T-test wording because I'm that kind of teacher. But also I just like that wording anyway, so it's really good for the classroom. And if they have any other comments they want to leave for the other student, they can do that here as well if it didn't quite fit into just the point system of the rubric. So you can change these instructions for yourself if you want to copy this later. That's just what I like to do for my classroom. All right, so those are all of the different things you'll see as a student. So now you can click at the bottom where the name tent assignment is posted. That'll take you directly back to the assignment. If you did not upload the assignment, or at least a blank page of some kind to the assignment, you can do that now. And on the right side, you should see the peer review button. It is right here. I should still be sharing my, I've changed my tab. Share this tab instead. Where I see this peer review section here, you should see the submission details, and then it should say that you've, actually, I need to push it out. Hold on. Once I push it out, it should say that you have a peer review waiting for you. So give me one moment. I think I had them push out 8:30. Let me know if you see something there or if you don't. So on the assignment page, do you or do you not see an anonymous peer review?
None assigned.
Okay, one moment. This is also why I would not recommend doing them in like the same class period, because this can create issues, especially if your classes are cross-listed. Like if I have a class on a B day, I don't want stuff getting pushed out as soon as a student turns it in. One second, edit. It shows that 2 submissions were turned in, but you can turn it in still if you have not yet. But that is enough to practice. And I know that your names are on it, so it's not totally anonymous. I said that earlier, but just in case. Make sure if you want it to be truly anonymous, that students do not include their name anywhere. Maybe have some sort of code word or number for each student so you can easily navigate stuff if students can't read something or get confused. I did run into that problem this past semester. Okay, I did not. All right, let's go save. Sorry, I've got a weak Wi-Fi signal, so it's just loading slow.
I submitted mine, but I still have none assigned.
I know. I'm going in and doing it. My Wi-Fi is slowly loading the page.
Oh, okay.
I'm so sorry.
No worries. Mm-hmm.
Okay, assign. There we go. Okay, Amber and is it Patricia? Do you go by Patricia or do you go by what's in
Gloria.
Canvas?
No,
Gloria,
I go by Patricia. By Patricia. Good.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. Well, you both should have one now if you refresh the page. If you are in the meet or watching later, so you don't have one assigned, that's okay. You can practice this with your students in real time, but there's some images I'll show you in a moment. So let me know if you have questions once you open that. And I will show you what the teacher side looks like with you guys. Because the example I have is all with student names redacted, and so it's just a bunch of black bars all over the screen. Okay, so I just switched my screen. If you click back to the Meet, you can see it. So I can see every student's name, and I can see who is assigned to who. Obviously, you know who you're assigned to because there's two of you who had something submitted. But this is really helpful when coming and checking to see which students have completed it. So right now you can see the exclamation point. You have not both finished your peer review since we just started. But you can also see the check marks so you know the students are done. And if a student finishes them really fast or just really loves doing peer reviews, you can assign more than just the 1 or 2 or 3, whichever one you initially assigned your students to have. So that's really neat. I was able to do that with some of my students this past semester. I also want to point out, while I still have it here, you cannot grade peer reviews within the assignment because the grade that goes there is for the assignment itself. So if you would like to grade peer reviews, you do have to create a separate assignment for the grade book to read it. But all you have to do is put the no submission option, and then you can just put a grade in the grade book. And that will still sync to Skyward if you want to use it, those sorts of things. That's a really important note because not a lot of teachers realize that. I didn't either when I first used it. I thankfully wasn't grading them, so I didn't have to worry about it. But if that is something that is a concern to you, just know it has to be a separate assignment to be graded on its own.
Hey, Brittany. So I saw that I have one to review, but it's on a zip. It's a zip document, so it won't let me open it.
Uh-oh.
I am on a MacBook, but I don't think even, it's
okay.
So I'll
were you downloading it? If you click on the view feedback button, does it open anything in the preview window?
Let me see. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what I recommend to my students because of the same thing. Okay. Sometimes they upload things weird and then it doesn't save. If something doesn't show up in that feedback window, then they've uploaded it incorrectly, and you know that the student needs to resubmit. So that is helpful to note as well.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I know that this session ends at 8:45. So hopefully clicking through that rubric is pretty quick for you guys, because I do want to show you the teacher side other than this really quickly. Although I think most of it is similar to what the students see. All right, Amber, yours saved correctly. Awesome. Gloria, I'm sure you will catch up momentarily. So Amber, I'm going to use you as an example since you finished pretty fast there. I'm going to open Gloria's and show you what Speed Grader looks like. Oh, sorry, no, the editing. So here it just says great job. That's pretty simple. Hopefully your students put more. Yeah, no, you're fine. This is just for practice. But if you open the rubric here, then I should be able to see what you put. And I can, if multiple students have been assigned, then I can click through the different scores. So I can see what each student put. That's really neat. And it doesn't give a grade. That grade box is for me to put in. because I don't like to trust student peer reviews 100% anyway. I'm glad that that doesn't do that. So you can make your executive decisions about that. So let me go back to my homepage. And now you can see what it looks like with a full class. I'm going to go to the third bullet point. You're welcome to click over there on your own if you would like. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, Helena.
I'm so sorry. I've been a horrible student today. I apologize.
It's still technically summer. We are all fine here. In that Wakelet link, it is under the 8 a.m. session. And if you click on the join or enroll in Canvas course link that's there, it will let you join this course. And I know that right now you can't participate in the peer review since the other two have already finished, but you can still see all the instructions for students as well as what teachers see. So if you do have questions, my email is at the bottom of that overview page with today's date. So let me know if you have questions. I'm happy to walk through this with you on your own at a different time if you need me to. But hopefully the stuff I've included in the Canvas course will help you out. Okay. I forgot. I was still loading this. All right. So here's what a teacher sees. I kind of just showed you that, but it is a little helpful to see when there's more information. So the other important thing is how to set this up. So I did a screenshot of that as number 1 in that third bullet point on the overview. So you select the little button that says require peer reviews. You may not have even noticed that's there, but it's on every single assignment that you make in Canvas. Once you click that, it pops out this bigger box. And if you click manually assign peer reviews, then it doesn't let you assign them anonymously. I'm maybe wrong on that. I'm sorry if I'm speaking incorrectly, but, or it's the date. One of the two doesn't show up. So if you manually assign peer reviews, that means you have to go in and click every single student and assign them. I teach 140 kids. I don't have time for that. So I'm always going to click automatically assign. And then that's when you have to put a date. The reason you guys did not get the peer reviews as soon as you were finished is because this was left blank. So I just went in and manually assigned them myself from the back door. When you're looking at the overview page, we'll see in a second, but you can set a date. This is why I recommend spreading out at least a couple of days when you do the assignment and then go back to review. And then that also helps students who turn stuff in late all the time. Then if you want them to be anonymous, there's just this checkbox at the bottom that you would click. If you don't click that, they'll see who they're scoring. If you do, they won't. So it's just up to what you determine for your particular students or the assignment that you're working on. And then number 2 is how you will access the peer reviews from the assignment page. So I kind of just showed you this. It'll be either on the right side of the computer, or if it's a smaller device like an iPad or a phone, it'll be at the bottom. So you'll click peer reviews on the right, like I showed you guys a second ago. And then here it is with all the redacted student information. It looks very beautiful. So you can see all the assigned reviews. Here you can see how some students only had 2. The one in the middle there, I assigned extra to this student because they said that they were done early and were fine with doing more. And if for some reason a student turns it in late, or you forgot to put a date on it so nothing was pushed out like happened with me, just click assign peer reviews on the right and it will push those out to whoever has submitted it at that point. That is really helpful. And then if a student has no assigned peer reviews listed, that means they haven't turned the assignment in. That is also helpful to know. This looks just like what I showed you guys with the student view. It looks just like the teacher view, but the rubric is up at the top. It's the same way of clicking show rubric, and then you can click through the students who have scored that particular essay or submission. And then you can also see the comment box. Here's what a strong comment box would look like, where they have an area of reinforcement and the area of refinement. So you can see that I had 2 students. It kind of got caught off on the bottom, but 2 students did submit for this particular submission. And then at the bottom, this is the view and speed grader. So you can click through the rubrics the same way. You can scroll down through the rubrics to see the points that were earned. And below that, I can't scroll in the screenshot, but below that, you would see any comments that were left by that particular student as well. If you left any extra comments, you would have a completely different set of comments too. Okay. The grade box here will only be for the assignment itself. I did say that a second ago, but just as a reminder, if you would like to grade the peer reviews themselves, then you do need to create a new assignment and select the no submission option. And this will allow you to enter a grade in the gradebook for those peer reviews. Okay. There is one other thing. I know we're slightly over, but I know we had some trouble getting in this morning. So forgive me. If you go to the grades tab, I left this accessible for you so you can see what it looks like. If you go to the grades tab, of course, mine will look like a grade book. I'm going to use Patricia's as an example since Amber did leave the good job comment. I want you guys to see what that looks like for the students. And then we're done. This is a really simple process. It's just the first time it is a little overwhelming, making sure students know all the steps. So while that loads, let me check my chats. All right, so I'm going to use, I guess it doesn't really matter. I want to use an example and see if I can look at your grades. There we go. So you will see that the grade itself will be blank because I haven't put in a grade yet, but you can see that the comments are over here. Just great job. This would be just the comments that were done in the comment box, but if they should be able to see the rubric as well. If they click, there it is. If you click on that little clipboard to the right of the comment box, it pops out the full rubric. This is really helpful for my students because my rubrics are very detailed. So this is also especially helpful if there was a disparity between scores. If it's between 1 or 2, it's not a big deal. But when I have students that are scoring things very different, I can kind of see why in their comments and then also the rubric. So I can determine if it's like needs to be an average or if one was more correct than the other. So yeah, hopefully that helped you guys. This is one of my favorite tools. Yeah, it's super cool. And I even had students that were like, why haven't we been using this all year? So I'm definitely going to use this more often in my English class, but it would work in a variety of content areas for a lot of different grade levels. Of course, the younger grades, I think it'd be a little complicated for them to navigate all of this, but I think 4th and 5th grade would be pretty suitable to this. I used to teach 4th grade, so I can speak to that. I think they would be able to do this process as long as you really clearly walk them through all of those different screenshots and instructions. So you will always have access to this Canvas course. I don't think we as teachers have the access to delete them anyway. I tried to delete an old one for course or cycle recovery last week and it wouldn't let me. So you have the ability to access that at any point, and that Wakelet link will also be accessible forever. So if you want to share this with your team, or anybody else that would like to know more about peer reviews, they can join this Canvas course too, and they can go through the process. And if they have questions, my email is there, so they can also reach out to me if they have questions, same as you. So hopefully that is helpful. Yeah, sorry it didn't work out for every single person, but hopefully the walkthrough of that process did help a lot. All right,
Thank you so much. Yay, Brittany. Woo!
Do we have
This
to
is
do
her first time
anything
presenting, guys, and she was hitting every single challenge. She was like, roadblock. She was moving around them, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm going to drop the attendance link in the chat. So be
Thank
sure
you,
to
Brittany.
let us know you were here. Say it again, Patricia.
And I'll stick around if anyone has a quick question, but I know the next session starts at 9, so feel free to click on out once you do the attendance or if you don't need anything from me.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
And thank you for your patience. as
Oh,
well.
no worries. Girl, we've done this all year. It's something I think we're used to by now.
But you younger people are more skillful with this technology.
It does depend, yes, on the
You
day.
have
And
a-
the
you have a chip embedded somewhere and you can get it fast. But thank you so much for your patience.
Of course, of course. You have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Martine, am I able to take this recording link and upload it to my Canvas course as well?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
That way it's all concise. I started a little late. I don't know if you may have started sooner than I did.
It's fine.
So if you don't mind sending me your link that you're getting, just in case you started sooner. You may have started sooner than I did.
I didn't start recording sooner.
Okay.
So
you got a recording link already?
no, I didn't. I just was asking if you could send it to me. Since I'm not the host. So yeah, sorry.
So sorry.
No worries.
Yes, I will send it to you and change the sharing settings so that you can upload it in your Canvas.
Thank you.
I
And where you started, I think, was fine because before that, I was just working on the assignment.
Right.
So it just went over the steps. So thank you.
No problem.
Alrighty. Well, I'm going to go ahead and click out of this too so I can gather myself if that's fine.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
A little bit.